This is Travis Wayne Goodsell, talking about the blood moon on the 27th of July 2018, which will be tomorrow. The blood moon is a total lunar eclipse that will occur over Jerusalem this time. What's interesting is that if you know my other videos and if you've been to my website, and I've even published on Amazon about it, you know that when John the Revelator in Revelation 12 gives us specific signs in the heavens, that he's referring to an actual date in the future of when the events symbolized by the signs in the heavens are to occur. And all of John the Revelator's signs have now occurred. And what we're experiencing now in our United States is all prophesied information. And it may come as a surprise to people that we are in Armageddon right now. If you don't catch on, you're not reading your Book of Mormon if you're Mormon, because the Book of Mormon is all about warning us in our day about the threat to the United States, the threat to our government, the threat to our religion, the threat to our society. Mormon chapter 8, if you're clueless on how the Book of Mormon is trying to tell us this. And what we have tomorrow is a blood moon that will occur over Jerusalem. I have discussed on numerous occasions the symbolisms as understood by the ancients as to how to accurately interpret them. And what we have tomorrow brings to mind John the Revelator's two witnesses. In Mormon culture, you believe that these two witnesses are LDS prophets. That's because of Bruce R. McConkey's commentary on the New Testament. He's the one that originated this. So Mormons have it in their tradition that it's going to be Mormon prophets that are going to go to Jerusalem and be assassinated in the streets and then rise on the third day, and then Jesus comes down in happiness and glory. But if you read John's actual words, and even the New Testament translation is clear enough to indicate that these two witnesses are not LDS prophets. They were born and raised Jews in Jerusalem. And so that's who those two witnesses are supposed to be. But what we have with the symbolism tomorrow is quite interesting. The way to show it all for you is to shrink down the picture so that we get all of the features in play. During lunar eclipses, the full moon is opposite of the sun, with the earth in the middle and thus casting the shadow on the moon. And so we have the full moon in Capricorn, the goat beast. And if you're familiar with Satanism, the goat beast is Lucifer. And the sun is in the crab constellation. But it will occur for the Middle East to see. We won't see it here in the United States. And that's significant, because where the sign occurs from land is indicative of where the event is to take place. Eclipses indicate death or collapse. The sun anciently was understood as the representing government, and the moon was a representation of religion. So when you had a total solar eclipse, you have either the death of the king of the land or a collapse of the government, which often go hand in hand, but not necessarily. What we saw with our total solar eclipse last year on the 21st of August, 2017, which was President Thomas S. Monson's birthday, and was also the very first day of the religious calendar for the ancient Egyptians. And that plays a very significant symbolism and prophecy from the Egyptian religion for our day. And as you can see, unless you're watching Fox News still, we are in a collapsed government. We are no longer a constitutional republic, which is what we're supposed to be, even though everybody tries to claim, oh, we're a democracy. Democracy means majority vote, which means the minority are suppressed. And so as you can see, because Trump won the election, irregardless of whether you believe it was rigged or not, those who are Democrats are the losers. We don't get rights if you're a Democrat or independent or any other party. Only those who voted for Trump are the ones who are getting rights and privileges. And that's how democracy works. But under Trump, he's betraying his own people as well. And those who are in business, such as farmers, are experiencing the backlash of Trump's tariffs. And they're kind of disappointed because they voted for Trump. So, but nevertheless, the signs have occurred, and they were fulfilled as the signs indicated. And so what we have tomorrow is a total lunar eclipse, which means a death of a religious leader or a collapse of a religion. And with it being over the Middle East, it would instantly indicate an event that will occur in the Middle East tomorrow. Now what we have to the left of the sun in the picture is the constellation Leo. Leo is the symbol representation for the Jews. And with John the Revelator's sign, he talks about the 12 stars on the head of the woman as a crown. The woman is Virgo, below Leo in the picture. And the symbolism for John chapter 12's sign refers to the woman as a representation of the church. And I have clearly shown in all of my analysis that the church represents the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It does not represent the Catholics. It doesn't represent any other Christian religion that broke off from the Catholics, and it's not the Jews or Muslims or any other religion. I've identified that the events that happen according to the signs correspond with events that occurred by the LDS Mormon Church. So the church in our day represents the LDS Mormon Church stationed in Utah. Thus, the 12 stars in Leo for John's sign represented the 12 apostles, the quorum of the 12. And it's significant because anciently Leo is only designated as having 9 stars that make up the constellation. Even though there are billions upon billions squared that are in the constellation of Leo, the ancients identified 9 specific stars as part of its makeup. And the main one is Regulus, the king star. That's what Regulus means, is king. And if you don't have a big screen TV to watch this video on, Mercury is at the front paw of Leo, and Venus is at the back paw of Leo. 2 additional stars in the constellation of Leo. I have previously identified Venus as representing a wife of somebody, as well as a representation of the church, and also a representation of a church leader, such as an apostle, because Venus was in the constellation as the additional 3 stars in the constellation of Leo in John's sign. And Mercury I have identified as Donald Trump, and also as one of the apostles. So depending on the arrangement of the sign determines the interpretation. And what we have tomorrow is a religious significant event. So Donald Trump doesn't play a prominent role in this interpretation. Therefore, it would have to be a religious leader. And it is interesting that there are 2 additional apostles or religious leaders who are added into the constellation of Leo in this instance. Right at this very moment, it's now 10 o'clock on a Thursday. This is when the all of prophets of the LDS Church meet in the upper level of the Salt Lake Temple and hold their weekly meeting to give assignments for the weekend and to report of what happened on the previous assignment from the previous week. And so right now assignments are being made for this weekend, and if there's traveling to a specific foreign country, they will most likely leave right after the meeting to go to that particular country and make arrangements with the stake president in the area that they go to for sleeping quarters. And so it's interesting that we're missing a star from 12 in Leo, and because Mars is with the moon, the full moon, in the goat beast constellation of Capricorn, right there at the mouth of the horn shape as it's also symbolized by, which indicates a message or a warning or an announcement being made. And with the moon, full moon, being in conjunction in that area, solidifies that event that will take place tomorrow. And it'll have to do with the death or collapse of a religion over the Middle East. And what we have in the John's Book of Revelation, we have a comparable story that seems to be indicative of this sign with the two witnesses. The fact that Mars is the one giving the announcement in the Goat Beast constellation indicates that Lucifer is the one who's inspiring the declaration for this occurrence that will happen tomorrow, indicating that it is a conspiracy plot involved in the murder or the collapse, whatever it is. A couple of days ago, the news reported that the Israelis shot down a Syrian jet, and both sides claimed that they were innocent parties and that the other had violated their peace treaty, I guess, if you want to call it a peace treaty, or a neutral treaty. And so something's going on out there, and provocations have been made by whoever was the one who initiated the violation of the neutrality agreement. But be watchful. If we find out that two apostles are assigned to go to the Middle East or Jerusalem, such as to visit the Jerusalem Center, which is what President Nelson did earlier this year on his world tour. He stopped in the Jerusalem Center, and so clearly there could be things that the church has need of setting up or arranging or taking care of in the Jerusalem Center. But be aware that we have John Huntsman Jr., who's the U.S. ambassador for Russia, and he was the one who arranged to have the GOP senators from the Appropriations Committee, the one that writes the checks or approves the writing of the checks, they all went to Russia on the 4th of July to have tea with the Russians. That's not a good thing. You don't make deals with Russia and come out clean and pure. Russia gets dirt on people. Russia has dirt on Trump. Russia has dirt on lots of people. And they use that to extort and threaten people to do their will or to keep them from being in opposition to them. So with the President Nelson announcing that sometime he'll announce a temple in Russia, that is not a good sign. That doesn't mean that Putin is converting to Mormonism or softening his heart or anything like that. When Putin makes a deal with somebody, it's to benefit him, not to benefit the other people. And tribute must be given, loyalty must be given, and he will have some kind of corruption on whoever tries to make deals in Russia. That's how they operate. And that's how he rose to power to become the president of Russia. So don't be fooled into thinking that God will protect his church and blah, blah, blah. This is Armageddon. You know, this is where the great division of the Mormon Church occurs, even though it already happened with the death of Joseph Smith. If you've read other or listened to other posts, read them and read my books. But I'm doing this video because I gotta get the word out to as many people as possible, because Google is now shadow banning me. Because net neutrality is gone, internet companies are able to do whatever they want now. And that's one of the consequences. And so, yeah, it's significant that in the constellation of Judah, where the eclipse occurs over Jerusalem, has a significant concept to it. And having 2 additional stars lends to the story in the book of Revelation about the 2 witnesses in Jerusalem who die. And so if it ends up being 2 LDS apostles, it would be because there was a plot to rig the interpretation of Scripture for this event. And if that is the case, do not be fooled. That is not the case. It is a deception tactic. Remember, Lucifer will perform miracles by his leaders, by his beast, by his prophet. So don't be fooled if that is the case. What you want to look for is 2 prophets among the Jews. That is the actual fulfillment of John the Revelator's indicator in Scripture. But the mere fact that Mormons have this traditional thinking, that Mormons are directly involved with Trump in connection with Russia, that's highly suspicious behavior, and one that must be taken seriously in its context. So this is what I have for you for tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, and as we've witnessed time and time again, Friday is the Friday night news dump, which Trump is using as a distraction mechanism for his acts of treason against the United States. So this would provide an excellent distraction for him, and to justify going to war in the Middle East, which he's been wanting to do, if they set up Iran or Syria or somebody who wasn't responsible for this. And the fact that Mercury is in this constellation could involve a dualism that Trump will be the one to make an announcement about whatever happens in the Middle East tomorrow, and that could be part of that fulfillment, that Trump then has something in retaliation for what is going on. And Venus, being the church, could indicate that the church members are involved in whatever happened tomorrow and will follow Trump in whatever announcement he has to resolve whatever happens. And so that's how you interpret the heavens. It's real simple once you understand the ancient mindset. But most Mormons, they look to the Torah, where Moses says divination is an abomination, and they don't make the connection in the book of Daniel, where Daniel interprets the heavens for King Nebuchadnezzar, and Nebuchadnezzar considers Daniel over his astrologers. So that's a contradiction in the Old Testament. But all of our scripture comes from men of God, as you can say, who looked to the stars and saw the symbolisms of Jesus and the plan of salvation, and identified prophecy written in the heavens. And they wrote their scriptures according to the movements of the stars, and were able to prophesy likewise. They were very accurate in the movements of the stars, and knew when eclipses would occur in the future over what part of the land, and other conjunctions that were to occur. Thus, John the Revelator in chapter 12 makes his claims because he knew astrology according to the ancient method. And his interpretations involved the Roman understanding mixed with the ancient Egyptian understanding. So, yeah, I've been 100% correct, though people want to argue or condemn me. But Doctrine and Covenants, section 34, verse 9, gives us the direct order to look for the signs in the heavens. You can't look for the signs in the heavens if you don't know what signs you're supposed to look for and how to interpret them. And I hate to tell you this, because you're going to get upset with me and you're going to get angry and want to kill me. But notice that all these signs have occurred and are occurring and will occur, and President Nelson has said nothing. Nothing. He has not indicated that the fulfillment of Scripture has happened. He has not indicated that the fulfillment of Scripture will occur. He has not identified fulfillments with the signs in the heavens. Nothing. He hasn't done it. He's supposed to do it. That's his job. There's a reason for that, and you'll have to read my other posts and blogs and videos and books, etc. But I just wanted to get the word out for tomorrow. Something's going to happen, and it is tied with prophetic fulfillment. So we'll have to see exactly what happens and how it happens. But just so that you know, something is going to happen.